Hey, let's go watch Black Panther. You excited?
So excited! Black Panther.
Open up my forehead and proceed to drop bombs like it's nothing to it. Keep the fluid moving, swaying like Johnny.
How excited are you right now?
Really excited.
How excited?
Like so excited.
I could devour the darkness in this world and what's solid I would never later. Either way I might have to, so don't let me catch you outside of the light. Lighthouse when I write. Can you see me through the barrel in the plate? I take flight like white doves after somebody dies and right like any minute I might, but we all know better. I rise like burnt feathers, barely tethered to a phoenix. If I ever ended up on Genius, there's a good...
Hey, so I just got back from watching Black Panther and I have to say that I liked it. I didn't read many reviews or watch many YouTube videos about it because I wanted a kind of clear mind on it. But it was a pretty enjoyable experience. I like to look at a movie and see what they're trying to do and then kind of judge how well they did it. And basically, yeah, it's a Marvel movie, a big mainstream blockbuster action flick, comic book movie. And you know, it had its moments of corniness and like logic plot points where you're like, but why? But bottom line is it delivered on what it promised to deliver on. It's like a cultural feat to have this movie made, what is it, in 2018? A big mainstream blockbuster Hollywood film about people of color, made largely by people of color. And that's something that's pretty awesome. I've heard that some people think that the movie is just okay as a superhero flick, but I don't think that they're really understanding like what a movie like this kind of means. You know, it's to some extent it's really cathartic to see people representing themselves on screen creatively and writing their own stories and telling them, as opposed to, you know, basically having somebody else kind of give an interpretation of who they are and what they represent. When I was a kid, there weren't movies like this made by people of color. I really think it's great that kids these days can grow up with a movie like this, you know, like the possibilities are open. I actually shot something right after the movie in this bar, but the sound was so bad that I'm kind of having to re-record and, you know, retell my thoughts on the film. And actually, when I was there, I actually got emotional. Yeah, I didn't expect it. I don't know what the heck happened. You know, it's not anything that I tend to do. It's not anything that tends to happen to me. But I was like talking about how when I was a kid and representation and seeing like people on screen, it's like I got emotional because when I was growing up, you would see mostly white folks on the screen and then some black folks. And so by being a minority, I naturally gravitated towards the black folks I would see on the screen. Like those people represented me closer than anybody else, just because there was no one else that looked like me. And you know, like if we talk about us, like people in general, then this is a big step forward for everybody, you know, like white people, black people, Asian people, Latino people. And there's some kid out there, maybe 20 years old, 15, 10 years old, who's seeing this and doesn't think about limitations. I also really appreciated the Michael B. Jordan villain character, because as opposed to some guy who just wants to destroy the world like a lot of Marvel or comic book movie villains, I was like, yo, man, this dude, I get it. I feel you, man. Like you sympathize with the guy, you empathize with him, and it's like a tough story. Like it deals with real things, kind of like touches on questions. It doesn't necessarily answer them, but for a mainstream movie like this, it goes there. And as a Bay Area dude, I really loved hearing Too Short at the very beginning. That was pretty awesome. It took a lot not to get up and dance in this crowded, packed movie theater. And I appreciated that Oakland was the base, you know, especially since, you know, the Black Panthers originated and were based out of Oakland back in the day, even though they shot this in Atlanta. Lastly, you know, I've seen some chatter about when will Asian Americans see their Black Panther. I understand why that question comes up, and there's a lot of layers to it, but you know, it's different. When will there be an Asian American superhero that is in a film directed by, starring largely Asian Americans? I don't know. And so this just means that inclusion, diversity, all those great things, that the movement in that direction is just opening more and more doors. It's a lot more complex if we're talking about like getting actually specifically like Black Panther, especially since there's very little that unifies Asian Americans than eating rice. And it's a very different experience than the African American experience. So on that level, I think that that's a whole nother topic, which I actually might delve into because I find that kind of interesting to talk about. Anyway, what did you think of Black Panther? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks.